Hi, welcome to another Malicious Compliance episode of StorytimeGuru. If you like my content, please support my channel by clicking like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. In this episode, our first story is titled, "The Waitress Complies with the Manager's Unsanitary Decision." Our second story title is, "Force High Schoolers to Sing at Graduation, but Let Them Pick the Song." Our third story title is, "Prove to My Manager That It's Better to Warn Customers of Closing Time." And our fourth and final story is titled, "Hair Too Long for the Dress Code." Here is our first story. "The Waitress Complies with the Manager's Unsanitary Decision," posted by Utana. This actually my mother-in-law's story. It occurred in the late 70s. She was working as a waitress in a small restaurant. One day during the lunch rush, she drops a plate of food on the floor in the kitchen. She asks the cook to prep a replacement. When the manager comes over, picks up the food off of the floor, puts it back on the plate and tells her that there is nothing wrong with it and to go serve it. She protests. "But it's been on the floor," the manager tells her.
"Go serve this plate or you're fired."
So, she takes the order out to the table and sets it down in front of the customer and announces loudly enough that the entire restaurant can hear, "Here's your food, but I wouldn't eat it if I were you. I dropped it on the floor, but my manager told me to serve it to you anyway." She turns around, toodles back over to her manager, smiles at him, and says, "I quit." As she turns around to leave, the entire dining room is pushing back from their tables and leaving without paying. OP. For this reason, I have a rule that I never break: never fight with people who prepare your food. Also, be kind to the people that are serving you. Force high schoolers to sing at graduation, but let them pick the song, posted by Waslone21. Another story of malicious compliance at the magnet school from Pilot Light's recent post. "We were the first ever high school graduating class at the district's flagship school, a new K-12 academic magnet school. This was a public school for gifted students, actually named after the district's superintendent himself. Now, this school had a penchant for trying a little too hard to emulate an elite private school, with strict dress codes, fancy educational philosophies, required sports, you know the type. As the commencement of the first graduating class approached, the school administration wanted to make sure our graduation ceremony was extra special. They wished to add even more pomp to the circumstance. Some higher up had the idea to have the seniors sing a song at graduation, choir style. Out of 60 nerds, probably only 15 could carry a tune, but, well, it wasn't my idea. The senior class was less than enthused and balked heavily when we were told we were required to sing, which the administration had predicted. The deal was this: we were allowed to pick the song. Cue malicious compliance. A nomination and voting process was held later that week. A few predictable, even halfway decent songs were nominated. Vitamin C's Graduation and John Lennon's Imagine. Both seemed promising. Then, one of us nominated Be a Man from Disney's Mulan. We thought this especially clever considering the academic gauntlet our school fancied itself it to be. As I'm sure you predicted, Be a Man won in a landslide. To our merciless glee, we were going to be singing about being a spineless, pale, pathetic lot, as swift as a coursing river, and defeating the Huns in front of our grandparents, the mayor, a few state senators, and our school's illustrious namesake himself. The administration realized they had been beaten. Alas, the chorus was quickly and quietly scrapped. We never got to see the town's faces staring back at us in confusion as we proclaimed how important it was to be mysterious as the dark side of the moon. Too long didn't read. Try hard magnet school requires seniors to sing at graduation, lets them pick the song. Students choose a ridiculous song and the whole thing is scrapped. Administration learns a valuable lesson: not to piss off an entire graduating class of gifted program kids. "Prove to My Manager That It's Better to Warn Customers of Closing Time," posted by Ratsing Corduroy. I used to work at a store that was open until 2 a.m. every night of the week, so as you can imagine, when 2 a.m. rolled around, I was always ready to get out of there. Around 1:45 a.m., I would walk around and let each customer know individually that the store was closing in 15 minutes, and ask them if they needed help finding anything before then. I did this for about 4 months working there and never had a problem, other than the occasional super rude customer who would completely ignore me and keep shopping until like 2:30 to 3 or whatever, or occasionally, especially on weekends, drunk people would come in after 2 a.m. and just ignore that we were closed, because we weren't allowed to lock the door or turn anyone away. Usually, I was alone by 1:45 since business really slows down. But one night my manager was still there. When she saw me go and tell customers the store was closing in 15 minutes, she was pissed. She told me I could never tell a customer the store was closing. She said it was incredibly rude and put too much pressure on them. Fast forward to a few weeks later, I have still been giving customers a 15-minute heads up, because frankly, I don't think it's rude to tell someone your store is about to close, especially at 2 a.m. Here is when I see my opportunity. A woman had come in around 12 a.m. She seemed pretty out of it, and was wandering around the store aimlessly this whole time, but occasionally bringing something to the counter, asking me to hold it, then coming back and asking me to put it back because she changed her mind. I had the feeling she could spend all night wandering around the store, so I decided that this would be the one customer I wouldn't warn about closing. 2 a.m. rolls around and I say nothing, and I proceed to say nothing all the way until 4:45 a.m. when she finally leaves the store. I literally got a call at 8 a.m. the next day from my manager. Furious that I had closed the store almost at 5 a.m., I innocently told her that the woman was still busy shopping the whole time, and I remind her that it's extremely rude to tell a customer that the store is closed. The next night when I went in for my shift, they had made the 15-minute warning a universal rule. We were all supposed to warn customers the store was closing, plus we were supposed to turn people away if they showed up after 2 a.m. Score. Afterward, I admitted to my other coworkers I had done it intentionally to show management how dumb their decision was, and I'm glad I did it because we never had to let another drunk teenager into the store after 2 a.m. again. Hair too long for dress code. Posted by No Goodman. A few years ago, I was a department manager for a large conference center. I ran the top performing department, as determined by guest feedback surveys, by a large margin. Like no other department out of 1,200 employees was even close, and my dress style was always nice and professional. Dress code didn't say we needed to have on button-up shirts and ties, but I did it anyway because I looked great and professional, and I met with the leaders of large conferences multiple times per day. I dressed to impress. They were my clients, and whatever their problem was, I was going to fix it. My demeanor and professional attire did great things to alleviate their concerns. My bosses got on a dress code kick for some reason. They made me and my small department, 6 people total, start wearing lame colorful standardized shirts with a logo on front. The rationale was that the clients should be able to identify me as a staff member. I get the logic, but that was what my lanyard and name badge were for. Plus, the bright/colorful dress code shirt was actually detrimental to my work, as I often worked backstage as a tech during band performances. Industry standard color for techs is black, but they wanted me to wear a bright yellow. Okay, I tell them my concerns for my shirt's bright colors being a distraction for the audience as I do work backstage. My bosses don't care. They made up a new dress code and want me to follow it. Fine. So I wear the shirt, but then I also wear a nice sweater vest, or just a vest, on top it. Still got my tie on. I like ties, but, to make it explicitly clear I'm staff, I get my own hat made, at my own expense too, that shows the company's name on it. Again, my badge and lanyard are always visible, but now I can do my backstage work without being a distraction to the audience that might glimpse my movement as I go about doing scene changes, etc. But then my bosses tell me that the company's logo has to be visible on my shirt, and I, therefore, can't wear a vest. So then I get the company's logo embroidered on my shirt sleeve, also at personal expense. Problem solved, right? I'm wearing the shirt they gave me and the company's logo is visible. At this point, my boss is pissed at me and is trying to write me up for any possible infringement of company policies. I know how to read a room, and I immediately start going to the HR director to approve of my new and evolving malicious compliance of this ever-changing dress code policy. My boss says that we can't wear hats. Okay, fine. My hair is visible for all to see, and I quickly become aware of the next thing my bosses are going to tell me to fix: my hair. They're going to cite some vague language in the employee handbook about hair length, so I go to the HR director preemptively and ask for clarification for hair length. After a 10-minute conversation, we both agree that I am perfectly fine with nothing to worry about. My hair is nice, in a bun, and looks good. It's well kept and stylish, and my specific clientele actually really like it because they're mostly hipsters anyway. But my bosses don't see it that way. They say that my hair is too long and needs to be cut. I ask them how long is too long. I am, after all, a rule follower and will obey the rules. One of my bosses, a woman with long hair that is actually against dress code. Because it's not put up into a bun says that my hair should be less than shoulder length. My hair was in a man bun. I ask her if that policy extends to the woman as well. She says no, obviously, that this dress code only applies to men. Apologetically and feigning ignorance, I ask her to show me where it says that in the employee handbook. She shows me the section where it says that if the hair is longer than shoulder length, regardless the gender, it should be kept in a bun. I tell her that my hair is in a bun, as opposed to hers. Oh man, now it's getting real. I just called them out. They're not happy. My other boss, a guy with super short hair, less than 1/4 of an inch long, tells me that as a guy, my hair shouldn't touch my shirt's collar. He tells me that a few stray hairs of mine are touching my collar. I pull out my phone and take a picture of him. I show him that even his 1/4 hair is touching the collar. His head was leaned back and his hair was touching his collar. I ask them again to clarify how long is too long because his 1/4 hair is too long for their standards. Side note, I love my thick hair. Someone telling me to cut it arbitrarily speaks fighting words. Then they tell me that I just need to do what I'm told because it's company policy, and if I don't do it, they'll get HR involved. I tell them I already got HR involved, and the HR director explicitly told me that my hair was perfectly fine. But these two bosses of mine just wouldn't let it go. They had to go after my hair. They told me that since I'm a manager and meet with group leaders, I have to go above and beyond what the dress code says and I have to act professionally in order for us to receive good guest feedback regarding professionalism. I tell them that me and my department are already the most professional and highest rated department according to guest feedback surveys. I take the printout of the survey results out from my bag, because I anticipated my lack of professionalism was going to be questioned and had it printed in advance, and I show them the survey. They read it, toss the paper aside, and tell me to cut my hair or be written up. Fine. The next day, I come into work with a shaved head. They never told me to cut my hair again, because I look far worse with no hair. Coincidentally, they also let me wear my hat again, haha, but only because my shaved head was a sore sight. As a point of interest, when I resigned from my position a year later, I submitted to HR my 80-point paper why my two bosses caused me to leave the organization, how they stifled me and my department from doing legitimately good and quality work, and how I felt that under their leadership, I was incapable of ever winning. A month after I left, I heard from a friend and previous coworker who was still at the company that my direct boss was forced to retire, and my other boss was fired. My friend told me that they were privy to a conversation held between the CEO and my female boss, the one who was fired, and my friend overheard the CEO say, "Your time here at this company is over, and I want you to know that when you're gone, your position will not be filled. Consider you and your position eliminated." Lastly, I haven't cut my hair since I left. Apart from occasional trims, it's now almost 3 feet long, and I plan on giving my gorgeous lion's mane away to some charity that deals with making wigs for kids. If you like my content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and tap the notification bell.